Alright, so this is one of our games from the 13th with Mastermind, myself, Jess, Chill, Drendrick, Tama, and Elder. I actually just wanted to highlight a few players here, more like mostly the DD play. And I do feel like highlighting this will help us a lot. Um, so when Elder had made that left there, I tried to guess whether or not he was radared, um, but I'm really not sure. Maybe Daring went straight down, but you'll see later that the Daring's near Bravo. So I'm not really sure why he did that full turn to the left and then came back around, which was fine because ultimately that put him parallel to me, like over on the right. And I don't rush anywhere because I want to make sure nothing flows down 9-10. The other thing I was going to note was Tama in the gearing. As the ships are seen coming down, such as the Mosfa, he flows into the cap, and then has an island directly to his right, which kind of leaves his options of movement pretty limited. So right now you can see that the Mosfet and the Vincent are coming down, and Grozovoy is doing a full turnout right now. So that's something else I want to talk about, because that's going to cost him a lot of health. I am trying to determine which one occurs first. I believe it's Tama. Tama's going to get radared here, and he's going to die pretty quickly. So as these things unfold, I'll kind of go over them after the fact. Okay. So this is going to be one of the reasons why it's super important. These guys were on the map for a very long time. Before Tama had flowed into A, I actually wasn't sure about that the first time I saw it. I thought, okay, maybe they had just popped up, and they'd actually been on there for a while. And we knew that A had something nearby because they capped it a while ago. And I'm not 100% if he was spotted earlier, but I don't think he was. But either way, when you have two ships coming down your flank of a cap, relatively close, especially a radar ship, rather than playing directly in this, I'll use the mini map, uh, in this right here, you just kind of want to be somewhere, like if you're going to go for the cap, utilize areas where you can't get trapped. So you know that island's there, so you won't go all the way over to it. And if you were over here for whatever reason, the same thing. And instead of going straight in and just making a right or a left, when you do that, you're fully broad to where, see, like for instance, these torps. If the Daring was throwing those torps and they were going this way, if you're broad, you're more likely to get hit. And sometimes I will also swing into a cap and sit there for a second, and that's usually because I know nothing's there. But generally speaking, when you know a radar ship's over here and you wanna, you're kind of goading him into popping that radar. So I'll use the mini map for this. So let's say I knew he was there. When I come towards the cap, I'm going to start to turn, and I'm going to be facing like this. So it's not a full turnout. So he's right here, and I'm already facing this way. That cap starts to go, and he's at like pretty much maximum range, pretty close, maybe 11 kilometers. And the Petra's over here, which we wouldn't have known at the time. So Mosfa radars or Petra radars, I would assume it was the Mosfa because we didn't know Petra was there at the time. And then I'm going to just come out. This island will now protect me from where the Petro is, coincidentally. And the only ship that can really effectively fire at me is maybe Daring, maybe Vincent tries. But I'll have a lot of time, because I'm at virtually maximum range, to see those shells coming in and can turn as needed. Maybe I need to go back here, whatever the case is. Maybe I don't even have to get that far away. I get just outside the 12 kilometer. I'm no longer detected. I move for the last remaining shells coming in. And then I can actually just back right back into the cap as soon as that radar's done. or start to position myself to be able to very shortly after that radar's gone. Now that I know that the Petro's there, I can maybe rinse and repeat. And mind you, this is before Mosfa and Vincent really begin a hard push. Um, and that's going to let me keep stuff spotted up here while I'm trying to be in position to get them to burn their radars. And then if I feel like I can't get A, it doesn't matter. Okay, I burned that radar. I'm basically just going to look to spot and control in this area. All of this. As long as my flanker, whoever that is, maybe it's this guy, if he pushes past this island, he's going to ruin my ability to control on this side effectively, unless he stops around there. If he stops around there, then I'll stay up here. I'll keep him protected, maybe smoke him if he needs it, and I'll dump torps in this area, and I'll control that, especially if I know the DD is over in this area. I'm going to be screening for torps for my cruiser that pushed up with me, and I want to make sure that obviously I'm not in the most vulnerable position. I did do that like on the ninth games, 12-9, one of the 12-9 games I was showing, and I ate a torp looking for torps for Dread. And obviously that's not a good thing. So you want to screen, but also you're keeping their DD from fucking your guy up. And if you feel like the DD's over here, then try to control this area while the cruiser's over here, especially if they haven't gotten the cap yet. And if you're not spotting anything, you're not sure where the DD is, just do what feels right. But don't go in past this area right here. Utilize this terrain to do everything that you need to. And the only reason you probably go past that in the first 4 minutes of the game, in particular, is if you know they're all kiting away. You know it's a kite side. You've already spotted a bunch of ships over here. It's all situational. But otherwise, you want to be staying in control of an area, not pushing deep into it. And if you have the cap, you definitely want to do a hold. There's no reason to rush past it now. Unless for whatever reason, again, situationally, maybe there's only one or two ships and they both kited away already. So now you want to start thinking about with the rest of your team moving, in this direction to help your guys. Maybe they're already pushing down here, so you actually begin to position this way again. But you also need to think about protecting A. So there's just a lot to think about, and diving deep is not something you want to do. So I pointed out the Grozavoy earlier. What I noticed from Grozavoy was that he would kind of push straight in. He'd kind of do a zigzag thing. It was a little weird to watch. And when you're approaching a ship, let's say this is the ship, we don't know he's there, we know he's in that area, rather than going straight towards them, you kind of, assuming you have an idea where they are, like maybe they just capped B and it's the very beginning of the game, you capped C, he capped B, and you're thinking, okay, he's probably going to be operating on his side over here. Well, when you know that in the beginning of the game, one, torps are probably going to come your direction, and you want to approach these areas to the side. So if he's here, you want to be going to the side, not directly at him, because you have to then do a full turnout, which is why Grozavoy ended up losing half his health in the first engagement. And then later on, we know that the daring is being passive. We know that he's back here somewhere. Knowing that, you just don't want to go again straight back in, because now he's going to have the advantage of spotting you. He's got an island and he's got a Mosfa. And the Des Moines was over here, I believe. So he's not going to be able to shoot, or Des Moines not going to be able to shoot whatever you're shooting at while you're on this side. They're just going to pummel you. I think Mosfa was somewhere up here, and you started gunning this way. Unless you were radared, I don't think you should have been using your guns, especially if you were just trying to cap. And if you were radared, I could see why you would just be going straight to cover. That's fine. Just keep in mind that you were there for, I think you were actually there longer than, in this area, longer than the Maswa could have had a radar on you. And your distance looked okay because the daring pushed out and away up here, where you actually could have been dark, but you were shooting with very little health. And in those moments, you're going to usually be better off, unless you're already behind island cover and nothing can see you. Of course you can fire at that point. You've got protection. Nobody can see you. If they radar you, know that the ships are over here, so that unless they're coming around on you and you just didn't know, you should be fine to shoot over the island and help your team with low health and still have impact while getting Bravo. Or maybe you back up because again, no radar, you're not spotted. You dump torps and then you come back into protection. You really start. You just start saving your health and not shooting just because you can, especially when you're low health. Look to utilize your team's positions and terrain so that you can move to the broadsides of other ships and shoot torps at that, shoot your guns at that from safety. But running up towards that island, just open water gunboating with no health, it's not going to help your team because you're dead. So just some little things to think about.